Well, I think the principles create a foundation, or in my mind, a new idea about how to help people by educating them about how they function psychologically, how they function spiritually, and also how they function in relationship to other people. So it's really an educational way of working with people to allow them to understand how they function as human beings, both personally, spiritually, and in relationship.
Why does it help people to understand or to be educated on how they function?
It helps people to understand. I didn't realize that the answer was understanding. That it matters that you understand as opposed to just taking things for granted, taking yourself for granted, taking how you do things for granted, taking how you feel for granted, taking how you think for granted. Because when you take yourself for granted and don't understand, you play with it. You never really dealt any new cards. You never really dealt any new cards. You just play with the same old cards because you feel, this is what I got, I'm stuck with this is what I think it therefore must be true. So you just play with what you have. Now, when you understand where your experience comes from, when you understand how human beings truly are in terms of their internal psyche, then you go, oh, there's more. There's more. I'm not stuck with my same beliefs. I'm not stuck with my same habits. I'm not stuck with my same thoughts. I'm not stuck with my same experience. I can think past what I have now. Because in terms of the principles, we have thought, consciousness, and mind. Thought is our formula. Mind is what gives it life. Thought is our formula. Consciousness is what it gives it life. And mind is the intelligence of all things. And we are wired in and hooked up to mind. And so we can draw from and generate the potential to think and experience anything. So we're not stuck with this certain amount. We have this amount. So that's what's so helpful about understanding the human dimension, or understanding how our experience is created, or understanding the principles, because we realize that there's so much more that we can think, feel, experience. There's so much more that we can be creative in or about. There's so many more ways that we can be. We can literally change our personality, and do. Because if we change the way we think, we change our personality. So you get this feeling that everything's up for grabs, that nothing is sacred except the principles. So anything's possible, or all things are possible, because you're just wired in. You're wired in, you're connected. You're wired in and you're connected to the energy of all things, to all things that are possible, to all creativity. So how could you possibly lose? It's very, very hopeful. And when people get hopeful and optimistic, for whatever reason, and this is another mystery, they start to change. When people get hopeful and optimistic, they start to change. When they can see that it's possible to think different. And that's what optimism and hopefulness is in my world. It's the possibility to think differently, to experience differently. When people get that way, it starts to happen for them. Because when they get hopeful and optimistic, it's like they put their head or their vision up over their experience and look to it, something new. And then they see it. But if you don't know there's something new to see, then you're not looking. And that's what's so, again, hopeful about the principles, is there's always something new to see, if you want to.